Hello and welcome to another episode of Dave Trippin's Couch Therapy, and this is cool. I rarely ever get this question asking about the process of editing, making a channel on YouTube, and I thought it would be cool to discuss some of the details and things that, I obsess over it. I love it. It's like when you get into a hobby, why get half into a hobby or a passion that you have? You get really into it, or at least I do, and so this is a cool opportunity to share some of the thoughts that I have. So the email reads, "Hey Dave, I appreciate the channel, like your videos, particularly appreciate the philosophical moments." Well, thank you. I loved your Kyoto traditional house tour, by the way. Check that out if you haven't. It's an amazing tour of a Kyoto house, as he says. I have a few questions. How long did it take for you to become comfortable on the camera? It's hard to, that's a good question, but it's hard to exactly pinpoint the time. But like with anything, I'd say you practice and you very, very quickly develop, and it will be related as well to how much time that you're doing it. So if you were only making one video a week, then it'll probably take you a little while before you get comfortable on the camera. But if you're doing it a little more frequently, say 2-3 times a week, then it goes very, very quickly. And there's all sorts of little things that you can do. One most of all is that when I'm doing this right now, I really do try and visualize the idea that I am actually speaking to someone, and I think that that affects your tone and your whole approach to the video that you're making. Not only that, another detail to consider is that it depends also where you are. There's a big difference between making a video, as you see now, in my house where it's private and quiet and nobody can see me making a fool of myself. But it's a big difference if you're doing things out in public, especially if you're not just setting up cool shots that you're going to show later, but that you're actually speaking to yourself. And that takes a little bit more time, but just in the same way, if you practice, you overcome it very, very, very quickly. So don't even think about it. It's kind of a fun thing too, that process of learning to recall when you weren't so comfortable with it, you'll enjoy in retrospect. So embrace the awkwardness. It passes very quickly and it's gone too quickly. What is this? How did it come? I asked this question because I want to make a channel if I come to work in Japan and have something interesting to share. Basically, you inspired me to give back to the community as I've gained a lot from these videos. And this is something that I think is really, really important. I know that a lot of people, it's easy to criticize people on YouTube for making what seems like indulgent videos, where it's like you just go somewhere and you vlog and this is at differing levels of quality. But I would say that there's a lot of bravery in putting yourself out there. Things are always, as I repeat again and again on the channel, never so clearly black and white. There's a lot of bravery in just making something like that. And then even if you're not doing a direct service to a person where they had like a specific question about lifestyle, you're offering a window into an amazing place that they might not otherwise be able to visit. So even the pure artistic videos that are made that are kind of like tour-like, I think if people consider a little bit more what that's giving to them, people are, as much as they can, trying to give back to a community, whether it's directly through question and answers or whatever their art is that they're bravely sharing to the public. That said, I also think that there's differing degrees of this. You could definitely say, if somebody makes a great channel that I love, they're awesome. I borrowed a lot because they're so creative and they have such great editing, is Simon and Martina. Check them out, not that they need the help, but they have fantastic videos. And I think with somebody like that, where the majority of the videos like I'm talking about are pure, they're kind of entertainment style, to entertain someone and to provide some levity in somebody's day is a huge service. So it's easy to think, oh, this is a fluffy video where they just act like a goof and they're funny the whole time. But that can make all the difference at the end of the day when somebody's had like a really tough time, their boss yelled at them, their work was a drag, and then they get to come back and watch this video. But then beyond that, even, if you want to do things that are more directly question and answer, if for example, like I have an interest, because it's something that I specifically like to do, I like to help people make the transition over to Japan, there's always different ways that you can help people. And I think that this is one of the greatest creative points for a channel, is to think, in what way could I help the community that I'm going to involve myself with, And it's always synergistic. It's always a positive feedback loop. You help yourself when you help others. And so if you're looking or thinking, what's an original idea for a channel that I can do, whether that's if you were coming over to Japan or for anything, think of how your channel is going to contribute to your audience, because as I say, it's synergistic. You giving, you will receive. So that's really good. I'm glad that that specifically came up as a question in this, because it can be a big part of your success. And also it's incredibly fulfilling that if you can make the difference in somebody's day, whether that's through question and answer, whether that's through providing them with entertainment, it feels really, really, really good to have that positive impact on somebody. And it creates a sort of framework for how you might do something originally. Another thing is, never think that your niche is too small. That's another thing that I'll discuss, is that it's sort of that, like, maybe the movie's just getting too old now to be a reference, but like, if you build it, they will come. Be driven by what you are genuinely interested to create. I gave the idea of being helpful as sort of a starting point, but maybe even further than that, what is it that you are genuinely, truly interested in, that you would like to work on? And you will find your audience. I think a lot of people get stuck in a rut where they think to themselves, oh, if I make that, nobody's gonna watch it because it's so niche, it's so specialized that nobody will have the interest. The population of the earth is getting to a point now where if you have an interest in Joby camera pods, and that's like your thing, and you love everything about them, and you want to dedicate a channel to it, you'd probably be shocked at how that channel might grow. I saw a guy recently who was doing a cool channel that was dedicated entirely to bonsais. And I think people have misread how saturated YouTube is. And so that's also another benefit, that the more far out and sort of niche your interest is, the more likely it's not going to be a saturated form of videos that you're making. So whether it's bonsai trees, I saw some guy, I'm a huge nerd at heart, he was making Magic the Gathering videos, but never as you might think, which would be to make decks or something. He was making videos that was dedicated entirely to the purchase and trade, and making a living off of that from Magic cards, and his channel was booming. Where a lot of people would say, oh, that's too fringe, nobody will be interested, but because it's so fringe, you end up being successful. And so there's all these micro niches which aren't as niche as you might think. So that's also a good thing, and it's the most obvious. You think to yourself, what am I most passionate about? And that will assist you in the hundreds of endless hours where if you did something simply because you thought it was popular, I guarantee burnout. You deal with a degree of burnout anyways, doing things that you're really, really, really passionate and interested in. So if you don't have that extra backing to you, that you're like, okay, I love this and it's worth the sacrifice that I might burn out with it sometimes, guaranteed, you will stop making the videos. You have to find what you love and then let it kill you, I think is the phrase from Bukowski. Okay, so that's to talk about how you might decide what kind of channel, what should inspire your choices for making the channel. And then here was the question, how long does editing take you on, say, a 10-minute video, assuming it requires a bit of work? I love the last question on this email, by the way. We'll get to that shortly. So, 10-minute video that requires a little bit of work. Okay, two videos that I'm most proud of. There's the Halloween, actually there's a couple, but I'll just arbitrarily kind of choose two that I'm most. The Halloween video that I made on the channel, that video is about 9 minutes, and it took me 20+ hours to make that. The video that I recently did, actually the one just previous to this, that was kind of how you should explore life and adventure and reflecting on suffering. That one as well took me about 10+, to give you a sort of estimate. But I would say about this, that when you're considering like, oh, how long are videos going to take me to create, there's a huge amount of learning. I guess I'll tell a little bit of story about this to put it in context, where when I started, if you look back at my videos in the last 3 years, you may have noticed they've undergone a little bit of a change, and that's because I'd never used a camera before. I'd never used editing software. I used Windows Movie Maker to start. Then I moved to Sony Vegas, and then finally, since basically summer, I've moved now to Adobe Premiere in the Creative Cloud. When you're learning, everything takes a long time. And so that video that took me 20 plus hours for the Halloween special that I did, a lot of that was because I was trying out different things in it. And I'm always going on to find the incredible wealth of tutorials that's on YouTube to teach me something new, like color isolation that I did, and that was never something that I'd done before. And when you go to learn something, of course, that extends the creative process. But the glory, the beauty of this all is that you become increasingly more efficient at creating more and more amazing videos. So the estimates that I give now are given my level of skill, and you can expect that as I improve in ability and as I do more and more and more videos and watch more and more tutorials, that things will not take me so long. Whether that's shortcuts that you're learning or that you simply know the process and you don't need to look anything up when you go to do it. So expect that things will take a lot of time to begin with, but then you will become increasingly efficient at making more and more complex videos if you so desire. The reason it was twofold that I do these videos now is because I was trying to find a way that I could appeal to how I love to still speak with everyone and do question and answer, but then that an edited video usually takes me 10 plus hours now to complete, where if I tried to do 2 of those a week, I would go insane and I would burn out. And so this was kind of the happy middle ground where I suggest that as well. If you can find a couple of formats that work for you, one like this that is going to be maybe less edited but connects with your audience in that way is really, really good. And it'll also appeal to different interests that you have on the channel. That would kind of bring me to a final point, because I could turn this into like a 30-part series. Because I obsess about this. I love YouTube, I love the creative process, I love, the meta of YouTube. So what I would say is that you should prioritize carefully when you start your creativity much more so over the gear that it is that you're using. It's really easy to watch somebody like Casey Neistat, who has walls and walls of cameras and drones and all that cool stuff, and you get excited and you want to have some of your own. It's not that you shouldn't be excited. You should be. Those are all really, really cool things. But those in the hands of someone just beginning are not even going to be fully appreciated, because you don't yet even know how to edit. So I would start very basic, and even start very basically with your editing, and don't move beyond an editing software until you have a creative idea that editing software is not able to fulfill. Another reason that I suggest going in this order, where you kind of start small and build up, is that it forces creativity. Discipline is kind of like the idea of a restriction. And if you discipline yourself, it means that you'll find really, really clever ways to get around what people are compensating for a lack of skill with more expensive equipment. And it also means that when you develop this skill, say for example, all you've used is your phone for like the longest time, that when you do get that next item, you really, really appreciate it, and you probably know every single reason why you got it. And if you learn really, really well, I'll shout him out now. He's amazing, although he's now upgraded his gear. But a channel that I love is Travel with My Deer. The first video I watched of his, it's all recorded on, I think, a Galaxy 6. And because he's an editing legend, he did such an incredible job with it, where it was all done on his phone. And that's what I think you want people to do as your channel's growing, is for people to say, I can't believe you accomplished that with whatever limitations that you had put on you. So that's, I think, the better way to go around it, go about it, and you'll save yourself tons of money. You'll learn a lot more because you're learning from the direct end of things. You'll appreciate things much more because when you get them, you didn't just start at the top, so you have no sense of what you've improved from. There's a million and one reasons. So there's a few of them. What I would say is start small and build up. Last tip, easy one, would be definitely watch tons and tons and tons of creative stuff, and don't just search for like the top, people making the sort of thing, really making the sort of thing that you're interested in. Really dig into YouTube, because they're there, and find the people who are lesser known but making really, really, really amazing stuff, because you'll maybe find some original inspiration there. And it's cool, right? You're on the in, you know this guy was not yet cool. It's that underground chic. Anyways, but search out people that you really, really enjoy, that can kind of give you more motivation and creative ideas. That goes without saying. I mean, I'm watching, like I've already mentioned, Simon and Martina, funny, amazing people. They're great, and there's so much to learn about comedic editing from them. If you watch Abroad in Japan, he does this incredible, it's like got, of course, that kind of like dry, cool humor, but he does like this amazing, like if you watch his Tsukiji fish market video, it's as good as a BBC documentary in terms of like professional editing and documentary style editing. Like, I know I said look for maybe the lesser knowns, but just look for people that inspire you, and that'll keep that fire burning. So if people enjoy this, maybe I'll do, of course, drop that like, subscribe. Oh, what? 500 million likes or whatever it is that H3 wants. But yeah, let me know if you like videos like this, because I love talking about YouTube. There's so many little details, because I'm somewhat obsessive, that I've like picked up about doing it well, and I think doing it in the right spirit. If it's something that you're really, really into. I mean, there's nothing I enjoy more than nerding with people about like YouTube and how to do it better, and video editing and all of it. Like it's to go on a little tangent at the end, I love so much about YouTube is that it's so free form creativity. For the nerd that loves editing, it's amazing, and you can become an editing god. For the person who loves filming and loves cameras and all this gadgetry, it's amazing. For the person who loves scripting and writing, it's this incredible outlet to share whatever creative writing you're doing. For anyone with even this much creativity, it's an amazing thing, and I think we all have that in us in one form or another. So yes, there we are. Maybe this turns into more of a series, maybe just because I love it so much. But I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Please do follow me on all the social media contacts that I'll put down below if you want up-to-date, to-the-minute notifications. Please do the YouTube double subscribe. So if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell notification. That then means that you're notified when I release a video, if you want that up-to-date videos. This has been a lot of fun. I'm gonna do a sort of, I think, kind of like Travel with My Deer. I'm gonna do a music video style of the last footage that I have collected from Kyoto for this Saturday. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you always, everyone. You're an amazing community, wonderful people, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.